And this is it, the biggest ship in Ukraine's new Azov Sea fleet, which Moscow says threatens its interests in the region. The Donbass passed through the Kerch Straits in late September without incident, adding weight to a fleet that previously consisted largely of these small patrol boats. One of the ship's officers tells us that since losing Crimea, Ukraine's Azov Sea coastline has been left all but defenseless. At the moment, Russia has many times more ships in this region than Ukraine. Whether that's Coast Guard boats, FSB security service vessels, or Russia's Black Sea Fleet, you just can't compare it. The ships captured by Russia were due to join Ukraine's naval forces in Mariupol. Many here know the men taken prisoner personally, but sailors were not allowed to speak to us on camera. Most of them began their service in Crimea, where Ukraine's navy was once based. When Russia annexed the peninsula, the sailors faced a choice: stay put and swear allegiance to Russia, or abandon their homes and leave to continue serving Ukraine. Something these men chose to do, unlike many of their former comrades. Mariupol is the city the sailors are called on to defend. Home to nearly 500,000 people, Mariupol stands in the shadow of the front line. Its future depends on the ability of these huge steel plants to supply the rest of the world, keeping tens of thousands of people in work. But that's now under threat. Ukraine accuses Russia of trying to suffocate the region economically, using trumped-up security checks to bring civilian shipping to a standstill. These checks can take weeks and have already seen many international shipping companies decide to stay clear of the Azov Sea altogether. One of the port's engineers takes us along the unusually quiet quayside. Trade was already dropping significantly before last weekend's incident. Since then, Ukrainian officials insist not a single civilian ship has been able to pass in or out of the Azov Sea from Ukrainian ports. Even though the scars of the last conflict are still all too visible here, for now it seems like weariness is the prevailing mood in Mariupol. Everything's all right. People have got used to this kind of thing already. For us, this doesn't feel unusual. Nothing's really changed for us. So far, we haven't seen any big changes. I don't see any changes for me personally. All I've noticed is that we've got more police patrols than I'd like. Just a week ago, few people outside this part of Europe had ever heard of the Sea of Azov, let alone Mariupol. Now the fate of some 20 Ukrainian sailors and the port behind me has been catapulted to the top of the international agenda. Enough to see G20 meetings cancelled and to put fresh sanctions against Russia back on the table. But strange as it may sound, the mood here in Mariupol is calmer than in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. For the past 4 years, checkpoints and the sound of shelling have become part of people's everyday lives here, with the front line just 20 kilometers down the road. Many people here in Mariupol are seemingly unwilling and unable to believe that a new escalation could be just around the corner. Back on the Donbass, they're hoisting the ceremonial flags, preparing for the ship's birthday. With martial law in place, it may be the only celebration these sailors will have for some time to come.